So then let's move to item E, Board Policy 5460, graduation requirements. And again, this policy was updated to reflect implementation of our, as we move forward through the years, we have then been able to add in the number of classes that are required, the curriculum that's changed, and then the credits that have changed through the years. And so we have this updated now through where we need to be.
And this one is one that we may come back in the future after we look at the Challenge Academy and add something in there for them, but we didn't want to hold this back to wait for that because it has the graduation requirements in it, and we needed to get that out as soon as possible. So we know that there will probably be an update on this, but we wanted this as it is to come through.
And it's because we have 2011 in here, so we do need to do this.
So I have a question. Is the policy committee going to meet with individuals, officials of the Challenge Academy in regards to this particular policy?
I got to be honest, the struggle I'm still having, and I understand and I greatly appreciate their response, but if the military has set a requirement and they've said this is now our new requirement, I want to gain insight as to why that became the requirement. I understand it may be a recruiting issue on their side, their standpoint, but if it's because they found that there was a reason, to just hand that in some way defeats the purpose of the regulation. And so I respect their reluctance to share it, but I think that may be part of what we do need to learn before we respond to it. So certainly I'd be happy to meet with them. And I mean with all the sincerity in my heart, these guys that complete the Challenge Academy and women are doing fantastic things to do that. But I really struggle with saying that that's equivalent to someone who's completed all of our requirements at the high school. And there may be a bridge we can create, but I think that's where we were running into the weeds. We just don't know yet how to do that, so there may be a point.
And the first steps were taken when Cindy and company went out there, and then to have them come here. Now the committee, we're going to have to sit down and look and see. I like your word, bridge. See, here's the GED, and here's our diploma. What do we need to require, or what needs to be done to bridge that? We have the bridge here for the GED that they get here. We've added a bridge in this between the GED and the high school diploma, and that's in section C and D here. So we need to do the same thing, very similar thing with that, and we'll sit down and look at that next, now that we've had these meetings and go. So that is definitely in the works.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Yeah.
Is there from the, when we're in policy meetings, is there a consensus or a feeling from the board that that's, am I overreading the importance of that, or is it, perhaps I am, and if I am, then I don't want to overstate it in any conversations we may have with them if that doesn't represent where we're at.
I will say personally, for me, it's more than just the military. I really think we are saying this is a GED, HSED here. We're asking for more. If we adopt this policy, then I think we need to do the same thing with another GED, HSED. I just think you
treat them the same.
We need to have some consistency, and I think that there are different skill sets that are going to come from our students who are going through the Challenge Academy. We just need to make sure that it's not just those different skill sets, but there still are the core ones that we are requiring for a diploma, and that they're there. And I'm just not sure just a simple GSED does it, to me.
The best comparison I think we can make is to look at our Milwaukee Street program and the GED option 2 requirements that we have for that. And so Mandy did go out to Fort McCoy with us, and she obviously knows very well what is expected in her program for graduation, and she repeatedly said they still need to do this and they still need to do that.
So she didn't see parity?
Not completely. There are things that they do at the Challenge Academy that far exceed things that we're doing in our Milwaukee Street program. When you look at the physical fitness component and the community service or service to community program. But there are some additional things in terms of the portfolio. And I think if we can, again, I think if Mandy, we can keep the connection and send Mandy out to the Challenge Academy while those kids are out there and say, here are the additional things you're going to need to do. And the Academy has said, we'll help those kids work on those things while they're out here.
That's helpful. Okay.
Then, when they're done, we can look, did you get it completed? If not, we need you to come back here for a month or 3 months, whatever it takes to get it done. Or, wow, you got everything done? We're ready to award.
Okay.
So I think
I just mentally can't get my mind around, that's a pseudo-military organization, the Challenge Academy. It's ran like and acts as a military organization. So the result of that time that they spend there is being deemed unsatisfactory by the military. But it's there, so we're being asked to solve that problem. And that's, again, where I keep getting my mind stuck on this, is we're being asked to solve a problem that and if it weren't for the great outcomes, these kids are doing great work that come out of that, I wouldn't even want to get into this one.
I think the disconnect, though, is that's a state organization versus a federal.
He came and showed us 75% funding from state, didn't he? Or from feds.
Right,
It was federal funding.
funded by the federal government, but it's still a state program.
Right.
Well, then the National Guard should be taking them, because that's a state program too. I'm just saying there's...
And I think he said that they were, didn't he?
He said there was a pathway that he could get him in, but he sounded very reluctant that he... I didn't sense that was a pathway that they wanted to take. And honest to gosh, maybe as we learn more, I'll feel a lot more comfortable, but I keep being... That's my hesitancy, is the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, are we stepping on a landmine?
Well, and that's why Mrs. already brought up the one-on-one that we need to have with those students that are out there that want to come and get our diploma, and that interaction.
And I do think it's important to note, and they didn't mention this, but DPI has sanctioned their program. DPI has said you can give a high school diploma based on what students do at the Challenge Academy. They're comfortable with that because they meet the requirements of a GED Option 2 program. So that's on the DPI website.
That's helpful too.
But we want to say, to get your TOMA diploma, we want to make sure you still have these skills as well.
Yeah, right.
And that is fine. I just, because they are part of this community, and we do have students going that direction, I do want to see that we still continue to work with them. I'm not saying don't change the way the policy is. I just want to know that, in fact, our
So far on committee level, and I don't see it turning any other way, the intent is to get something in here.
We want to solve
Right.
it, we just don't know how.
Yes.
Okay, that's
It's
what
just
I'm
not there.
inquiring about, and that's good. Good enough. So, with that said, then I don't have any problem with the way the policy is written at this point, and I would be willing to make a motion to approve Board Policy 5460 graduation requirements as set forth before the board.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second then to approve Board Policy 5460 graduation requirements. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?